Have you ever forced yourself to count your blessings when inside you feel nothing but emptiness? What if I told you that the very thing sold to you as life-changing, gratitude, can sometimes feel like a hollow promise? A slogan printed on a coffee mug that leaves you worse off than before. You might wake up to a scrolling feed full of platitudes. Be thankful for every sunrise. Yet when you stare at your ceiling, your heart still aches, your anxiety hums, and you wonder, why isn't this working for me? Today, you're invited to lean into that discomfort. Notice the tightening in your chest as you recall the last time you tried a gratitude list, and your mind went blank. Notice the shame that blossomed when you compared your shaky attempts to the glow of someone else's "I'm so grateful" post. You may feel that everyone else is experiencing joy while you're trapped in a loop of self-criticism. Think about this. Gratitude is often presented as the universal remedy, the cure-all for stress, sadness, and loneliness. Yet for many, it becomes just another expectation, another bar you can't clear, magnifying your sense of failure. You've been told, just write down 3 things you're grateful for each night. But what if that simple exercise feels forced, like trying to squeeze water from a stone? You might notice your mind racing. Am I grateful enough? Am I doing this right? The result, a mounting frustration, a sense that the practice is not for you. You're caught in a trap. The more you push for gratitude, the more gratitude pushes back, leaving you feeling even less satisfied. It's as if someone handed you a key to freedom that doesn't fit the lock. That's the illusion you're invited to question. The promise that gratitude, done superficially, automatically lifts your mood and reshapes your life. When it doesn't, you blame yourself for not trying hard enough. And the gap between the grateful you you're supposed to be and the real you feels like a chasm. But beneath that gap lies a deeper question. What if gratitude has been misrepresented? What if the problem isn't you, but the way you've been taught to practice? What if gratitude, when reduced to a checklist, actually disconnects you from your raw emotions and authentic self? You might notice a subtle tightening in your shoulders as you consider that perhaps the problem wasn't your failure to shift your mindset. It was the mindset itself that needed shifting. Feel the contradiction. Gratitude is both celebrated and buried under layers of expectation. Recognition flickers. I want something more genuine, something that resonates with my whole being. You see how surface-level positivity can silence the discomfort you actually need to address. You begin to realize that true transformation demands more than catchy slogans or fleeting moments of appreciation. As you sit with that recognition, you might resist. There's a quiet voice asking, do I really want to face the parts of myself that feel ungrateful, resentful, or empty? You may fear that acknowledging your resistance will prove you're broken beyond repair. Yet this resistance is precisely what signals that you're on the brink of something profound. So here's the question lingering at the edge of your awareness. What would happen if you stopped chasing gratitude as a quick fix and instead allowed yourself to explore the shadows beneath your forced appreciation? What if you looked beyond the surface illusion to discover the hidden dynamics keeping you stuck? You've been told that gratitude is sunshine for the soul. But what if it's actually casting a shadow you've never noticed? You might think gratitude is always light, yet behind that brightness lie unexamined beliefs. The idea that you must always feel thankful, that discomfort is unacceptable, that only positivity matters. Think about this. When you chase gratitude as a goal, you risk denying the full spectrum of your emotions. You learn to smile at your pain instead of naming it, to plaster thankful over your true experience. What you see as uplifting can become a mask. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. You admire your reflection, nodding at the polished surface. But the glass conceals cracks beneath the shine, old wounds, anger you've buried, longing you haven't voiced. That's the illusion of gratitude you've inherited, a one-size-fits-all practice promising quick relief. You write, I'm grateful for my job, or I'm grateful for my family. But the moment you stop writing, the anxiety creeps back. You catch yourself wondering if you're even allowed to feel frustrated or disappointed. This is the hidden cost, self-censorship. Carl Jung warned that what you resist persists. By denying difficult emotions in favor of forced gratitude, you strengthen their grip. You might notice that when you force a smile, your throat tightens, your heart pounds, and resentment surges beneath the surface. That's your unconscious signaling. You're not really free. You're hiding from parts of yourself that need attention. Jung would call this your shadow, those disowned fragments yearning for recognition. Think about a time you tried a gratitude prompt in the midst of stress, the classic 3 blessings exercise. You sit with your journal, heart racing, mind blank. You force out 3 things: the roof over your head, the coffee you just drank, the support of a friend, but your body tenses. You feel a knot in your stomach and a whisper, if I admit my pain, who will accept me? You're silently bargaining, gratitude in exchange for safety, but the bargain never feels fair. You might notice yourself glossing over real emotions so you can tick a box. That's the unconscious pattern at play. Martin Seligman, the father of positive psychology, once said, "Cultivating gratitude doesn't mean you ignore life's hardships. It means you learn to hold both joy and suffering in your hands." Yet most gratitude tutorials skip that second half. They teach you to hold joy and discard the rest. This lopsided approach fuels resistance. A part of you protests, "I want genuine relief, not a shallow prescription." You feel torn, drawing in a breath one moment, resisting the next. That friction is awakening. You begin to recognize your own pattern. You chase gratitude. You feel shame when it fails. You close off to deeper healing. You hide your darker feelings under a veneer of positivity. That's your hidden shadow at work, whispering that you're not enough unless you're always thankful. You see how gratitude, used without self-inquiry, can perpetuate self-criticism and emotional avoidance. Yet this is just the surface of your unconscious landscape. Beneath that mask lie stories of inadequacy, perfectionism, and fear of vulnerability. You might ask yourself what would happen if you acknowledge those parts instead of shoving them aside. What if gratitude could become a bridge rather than a barrier? A way to connect with your pain to transform it. The question now hovers. Are you willing to let the shadow speak and transform your relationship with gratitude? You've glimpsed the shadow of forced positivity. But what happens when you stand at the edge of your own unspoken pain? You feel it as a pit in your stomach, a heaviness in your chest, as if gratitude has unintentionally locked you out of parts of yourself that ache for attention. Think about a memory you've tucked away, the sting of rejection, the ache of loss, the bubbling resentment you thought you'd outgrown. Now notice how every time you try to be thankful, those memories crowd at the edges of your awareness, like ghosts you've tried to exorcise. This is the integration crisis, the moment your psyche demands you stop sweeping discomfort under the rug. Viktor Frankl wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." You might sense the truth in that, but feel resistance welling up. A part of you whispers, "I don't want to relive that pain." Yet another part yearns to free you from its grip. You find yourself in a tug of war, unsure which voice to follow. As you explore this tension, you begin to see that gratitude isn't about bypassing suffering. It's about acknowledging it and finding meaning alongside it. You might notice that when you allow yourself to name a painful emotion, "I feel lonely," "I feel angry," the intensity shifts. Suddenly, you're not alone with discomfort. You have a companion in awareness. That companion is compassion, the gentle inner voice that says, "I see you. You're not broken for feeling this." Imagine writing in your journal. You list a challenging memory, then beside it, you jot one thing in that moment that offered even a flicker of warmth. Maybe a friend's laugh, the taste of mint tea, the comfort of your own breath. You don't force joy. You create a space where grief and gratitude coexist. You begin to sense that transformation is possible when you hold both threads together. Carl Jung described integration as the process of becoming conscious of the contents that press upward from the unconscious. It means letting your hidden wounds surface rather than banishing them. You might practice this by closing your eyes and noticing sensations, where in your body grief hides, where anger lurks. When you bring gentle awareness there, you open a door. You're saying, "I choose to meet you, whatever you are." You could try a simple exercise tonight. Before bed, close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths. On the first breath, allow yourself to feel a raw emotion. On the second, acknowledge one small thing that felt supportive today. On the third, rest in the space between pain and gratitude. You might notice tears, relief, or both. Notice how the edges of your discomfort lose their jaggedness. At first, this practice may awaken resistance. You might think, "This is messy," or "I don't have time." Yet every time you meet your suffering with kindness, you weaken the belief that you must always be positive to be worthy. You're rewriting your inner narrative. You're whole, not despite your scars, but with them integrated into your story. This integration crisis is the gateway to genuine transformation. But it's not easy. It demands that you stay present with what is, rather than chasing what should be. You may feel moments of doubt. Am I regressing? Or will this ever feel easier? That uncertainty signals you're on the right track. Growth lives in that space between fear and curiosity. So here's what you might ask yourself tonight. What if gratitude isn't a destination, but a practice of walking beside your shadow and your light? What if true life satisfaction emerges not when you erase your pain, but when you learn to dance with it? You've met your shadow and held your pain in one hand. Now comes the turning point where you step off the ledge and into the work of true transformation. You may feel trepidation, a knot of doubt whispering, "Can I really change this pattern?" That doubt is natural. Carl Jung reminded us, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Think about that. You're invited not to deny your past, but to choose your response to it. Here's a simple practice to anchor this choice. Each morning, before the whirlwind of tasks begins, take 5 minutes to sit in stillness. Close your eyes and place a hand over your heart. Breathe naturally. On the inhale, notice one thing you genuinely appreciate in your life right now. Perhaps the warmth of sunlight on your cheek, the steady beat of your heart, the taste of water on your tongue. On the exhale, offer that moment a silent thank you. You're not listing generic blessings. You're pausing to savor a living moment. Next, pair this with a brief journaling prompt. Write down one small discomfort you faced yesterday. Maybe a twinge of envy, a surge of irritation, a pang of doubt. Beside it, note one person or event that in any way helped you navigate that discomfort. You're weaving gratitude into the fabric of your struggles rather than tucking it away from them. As Viktor Frankl taught, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. You're claiming that space. As you repeat this daily for 2 weeks, you start to notice shifts. The tightness in your chest loosens, the swirl of negative thoughts slows, and you begin to spot small openings of grace in ordinary moments. Research shows that practicing gratitude 5 times a week can reduce anxiety by up to 23% and depression by 18%. You might see your relationships deepen. When you express appreciation to a friend or partner, their face softens and a real connection forms. This is not magic. It's the brain rewiring itself through repeated affirmations of what matters most. Martin Seligman found that people who kept a gratitude journal for just 3 weeks reported higher life satisfaction and positive effect that lasted 6 months later. You're part of that experiment now. Your brain is tracking the good and leaning toward it. Notice how during a stressful moment, a demanding email, a tight deadline, you can pause and remember the morning's practice. That pause becomes your superpower, a moment of choice between old reactivity and new resilience. You might resist at first. "I don't have time," or "this feels awkward." Acknowledge that resistance as a signal of growth. When you hear the voice saying, "This isn't for me," smile inwardly and say, "Thanks for protecting me. I'll take it from here." That simple self-compassion move cracks open the rigidity of old patterns. Now picture life after 6 weeks of this practice. You wake up and feel a subtle lift before coffee hits your lips. You find yourself smiling at the sunrise instead of scrolling social media. You tell a coworker, "I appreciate how you listened." And they pause, surprised. Then smile back. That's integration, the natural alignment of your inner world with your expressed gratitude. You've moved from forcing positivity to embodying genuine appreciation, interwoven with your own story of struggle and growth. So when the doubt returns, and it will, remember, every pause, every breath, every moment you choose to acknowledge both your pain and your gratitude is another step toward becoming who you truly want to be. What will you choose in the next moment when old reactivity arises? You've woven gratitude into the fabric of your daily life. Pause to honor your pain and practice choosing your response instead of reacting. Now envision the life that emerges from this work. A life no longer divided between forced cheer and hidden suffering, but alive with genuine presence and resilient joy. Imagine waking to dawn's first light and feeling a subtle warmth bloom in your chest before your mind even wakes. You breathe in and sense gratitude rising, not as a hollow duty, but as a lived experience. You notice the golden hue on your ceiling and think, "Here I am, alive." That recognition becomes your anchor for the day. Through integration, you discover that gratitude and vulnerability are not opposites. As psychologist Brené Brown teaches, owning our story and loving ourselves through that process is the bravest thing we will ever do. You find yourself telling your story, complete with failures and fears, to a friend, and instead of recoiling, they lean in. You witness how vulnerability deepens connection, how acknowledging your scars invites empathy and belonging. Picture an afternoon moment when your email inbox floods, and the old urge to panic rises. But now you pause. You remember Frankel's space between stimulus and response, and you choose to notice a single supportive detail: the pen you hold, the promise of a colleague's help, the steady rhythm of your breath. You smile quietly, and the tasks feel less daunting, the world less overwhelming. Your brain, rewired through consistent practice, defaults to this pause. This is the gratitude advantage in action, shifting neural pathways from threat to appreciation. Your relationships transform too. You catch yourself saying, "Thank you for sharing that," when someone expresses a struggle, offering genuine warmth instead of a rushed sympathy. You offer thoughtful notes of appreciation, a colleague's insight, a partner's kindness, and you watch faces soften, barriers lower. Those small moments accumulate, weaving a tapestry of trust and goodwill around you. You also notice inner shifts. Self-criticism softens into self-compassion. When you misstep, snap at a loved one, or miss a deadline, you meet yourself with kindness. "I'm learning. This is part of the journey." This mirrors Seligman's principle of learned optimism, guiding you to challenge negative self-talk by asking, "Is this thought true? Helpful?" You find the answer often reveals a harsher inner judge than reality demands. As weeks turn into months, you sense deeper life satisfaction. You're more present at dinner, tasting each bite, more attuned to laughter, savoring its resonance, more accepting of silence, discovering its wisdom. Your mental health improves. You experience fewer intrusive worries, less pervasive sadness, and a stronger sense of meaning. This is not a fleeting high. It's the compound interest of gratitude practiced through your shadow and your light. You might wonder, will this last? The answer lies in continuous practice. Thanking your life's ordinary moments, honoring your pain, and choosing compassion become habits that sustain you. When new challenges arise, a loss, a setback, you meet them with the same integrated stance. You name the grief, acknowledge the silver linings, and step forward with grounded hope. Now, your final challenge. Take this awakened life beyond yourself. Share a moment of gratitude with someone today. A text, a quick voice note, a face-to-face "thank you." Notice their reaction and how it lights them up. Invite someone else into the practice by asking, "What's one small thing you noticed today that brought you comfort?" You're not preaching. You're extending an invitation to co-create resilience and connection. The gratitude advantage is not a destination you arrive at. It's the ongoing dance of honoring your full humanity. From discomfort to recognition, from resistance to empowerment, you've integrated gratitude as a pathway to wholeness. Your life stands as living evidence. Transformation is possible when you hold both your shadows and your light in open hands. What moment will you choose to invite gratitude into today? And how will it shape the rest of your life?